Welcome back to the most professional StarCraft 2 with the former World Champion Zerg in the red, the Executioner. It's Rogue. But up against a fellow World Champion in the blue, it's Micro Jackson. It's ByuN. A best of 3 TVZ, which could have been played in the grand finals of a premier tournament pretty much any time in the last 10 years, but it's here today. And just a best of 3, but still 2 of the best players in StarCraft 2 history. And if that's what you like to see, well, hopefully you'll like and maybe even subscribe to this video. And Jimmy, what are we? 1,305 likes on this cast, on this series, on this nostalgic modern day match. And I'll cast another one. And I'll probably do it anyways. But thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Hopefully you've had a good day so far. And hopefully it's about to get just a little bit better. Reapers. This is not unexpected, not uninvited, but we'll see if it's ineffective. As Rogue has been dealing with ByuN's Reapers, well, not well enough. Gets a drone. Queens will politely yet firmly ask those Reapers to leave, but the Reapers don't play nice. In fact, they're quite rude. As they just kind of work their way across. The caution sign is not for them. It is because of them. In fact, map makers have literally added caution signs just in case you didn't know where those Reapers were coming from. But these players are very, very well aware, and that's a lair. And oh my, looks like Rogue is going to get in ByuN's hair. And we'll have to see what he's able to rend and tear. And that's it. No more rhyming. That's fair. Don't stare. Marines. Alright. Marines. That's the choice for ByuN. It's a Roach one on the way for Rogue. As it looks like he's interested. Oh wow. ByuN is rallying his Marines to potentially block out Overlords. Now, Rogue doesn't have any Overlords on that side of the map. He didn't lose any, right? He just didn't send them out. They are kind of a liability once you get to a certain stage of the game. And that stage is mostly once the Marines get out against ByuN. But they are a bit of a liability as opposed to a boon. And he has a pretty good idea of what ByuN's up to. One of the most predictable, but still incredibly difficult to fight players out there. And the Overseer was attempted, but the Marines found it. And that's what happens. All right, get an Overlord anywhere close? Well, ByuN deals with it. And also it was within range of the Reapers at the Watchtower, so that was a bit optimistic. It's going to be mass Roaches with Carapace. So the Carapace is very helpful. Well, it's for all the units, not just the Roaches in particular, where the missile attack is the focus, but instead for your drones, for your Queens, which also do benefit from ranged attack, and for any Zerglings. They don't even have speed here, so Rogue gonna take the mass Roach style to deal with the Marines, which, as long as he's able to deflect the early momentum, then you can box out the medevacs, you can box out the damage. But the big weakness of Roaches is how immobile they are. They can't come sprinting around chasing down the medevacs like the Zerglings can. They don't have the anti-air of Hydralisks or even Mutas. So they are a blunt instrument. And we'll see what the rest of the symphony looks like for Rogue as time goes on. There's a lot of Marines already on the field. 6 minutes in. The first real aggression here after the Threepers. And ByuN, well, that's more than enough Roaches to get him to turn around. He picks up and he heads towards the main, but not all the Marines can fit in the medevacs. The Queen's Brenda! Just target it! We'll get it eventually! Well, the Roaches heading forth. And not too many units coming back. The rally point is back towards the main. And ByuN doesn't have a third command center. He's been on the 2-base Terran kick for quite a while. A single siege tank, is that enough to force Rogue to turn around? The medevacs, oh, not quite enough in the Queens. We're gunned down at the third, and the ones that came back to the main are out of position. So the barracks were forced away from the front. He actually had to abandon the add-ons here. Rogue is just going to take this opportunity to open up the map. Look at that picturesque creep spread there. Essentially a full perimeter of creep spread that he's brought out. Rogue with an incredibly low economy Zerg here. 49 drones, a few more on the way. But he's gained total map control. And ByuN is just now getting his third command center, which means he's not going to have that many workers. He's not going to have that much economy. And it is better to have 3 bases with equal workers. You're going to have a little bit more income, usually, overall. Of course, mules have a tendency to skew that just a bit. But I will direct your attention. Usually, it's pretty self-explanatory. But you can see down there the income differences. I'm mostly pointing this out because this apparently wasn't played on our fancy observer thing where we can do the graph. So just imagine a graph where Rogue is slightly ahead, and then ByuN drops a few mules, and things look like an earthquake just happened to the economic situation. But we're not quite there yet, as the third base is still not even done for ByuN. I think he's completed it, and now he's going to land. No orbital there yet, though. So Rogue, a very Dark-esque style. Well, I think actually Rogue gets credit for this first. Before Dark even picked up the roaches, Rogue was using him to bludgeon Maru. So right now, ByuN unable to get too much damage done. He's killed a queen or two. A handful of drones. He's prevented the drones just by forcing all these roaches out. And the medevacs are continuing to shark around. A huge round of drones just came out. I think it was 15 in the production tab. Infestation put on the way. Not particularly early here in the grand scheme of things. But will allow Rogue to sneak up to Hive Tech. Meanwhile, ByuN, plenty of Marines headed out the center. And this is going to be the most dangerous part of the game for Rogue here, where he has this immobile and somewhat inefficient unit composition up against a significant amount of Terran that is going to have equal or better upgrades. So he's got to keep up and try to keep ByuN back until he can get to Hive Tech, which he's already begun the moment the infestation pit finished. Corrosive Bile, but the drop gonna take down an expansion. No cancel there. The minerals are quite precious. He's not banking money at the moment. The roaches and ravagers come by. ByuN stimming forth into towards the gold base. Gonna gun down several more drones here, and the Bile, he's just rolling through. The hatchery is under fire, and the hatchery is dead. Some of the Marines left behind. But ByuN knocks Rogue back to 3 bases. And he has 3 comfortably of his own. Rogue still with plenty of army supply, but can he bring it to bear? We'll see. So far, recently, ByuN has had a bit of a principled stance against ghosts, where he's essentially just decided no more ghosts. All right? We're not doing ghosts anymore, which will get him killed if the game drags on long enough. Of course, without investing in those more expensive ghosts. Okay, all right. Moving on. No more principles, only victory. Well, if the game goes on long enough, of course. I'm getting a little ahead of myself. Viper's on the way. 5 lurkers in production. The point being here, if he can lock the map down, this is an incredibly difficult map to play in the late game for Zerg. The ultra late game. Not with ultras. That makes it even worse. But when things get locked down with plenty of orbitals, dozens of ghosts, maybe some liberators mixed in for extra flavor, that's when things get almost impossible. But the queens? Brenda! Where is everyone? We had 3 hatcheries for so long, Karen. Just stop. Just build another lurker den. Oh my god. ByuN takes out the lurker den. The thing... Oh no, and he gets the hatch over to the north side. Double parasitic bomb. Unfortunately, they don't stack, and he loses 2 Vipers as well. The Marines finding premium targets across the board. And so far, so good, as ByuN has been able to keep Rogue at bay. There's a Nidus. Another lurker den. Did he even get one of them? No. Rogue got a few lurkers out on the field, but he did not get any of the lurker upgrades. He's not going to be able to hit that hive tech timing. He's re-established the gold base, and he's re-expanding across the board. But now ByuN is locking things down. He's got more ghosts in production. 3 more command centers as well. Ghost cloaking is about to complete. And there are no... Okay, there's 3 overseers on the map. I don't know why. They have a different icon, Winter. Oh my. Corrosive Bio lands and hits some of the bio there. Battery pack evolution chambers here. Mobile charging stations for the Vipers. This is one of my... This is probably in the top 15 to 30 of my pet peeves that pro gamers do. I'll be releasing my manifesto of over 100 at some point in the future. If you like and subscribe, you can stay tuned about that. But in consuming your hatcheries, which are an obvious target for it, but why not? These Evo chambers, 75 minerals apiece, 125 if you count the drone. But the amount of times I've seen someone consume their hatchery that was currently being hit by the bio army is too damn high. 1 is too many. Any more? Wow. He yanks the ghosts over the top, though. Blinding Cloud negates some of the siege tanks. Rogue, though, he dragged the ghosts in. They activated their cloak, and he wasn't able to take them out, so the snipes across the board. Here come the lurkers into position. There's still plenty of energy. Not enough for unlimited snipes here, but he should be able to take out most of these lurkers. Good concave. Snipes his way through. Marauders do the rest. Down to 1 lurker as Rogue scrambles around. The bio army finally surrounded. Will pick up. And some of the ghosts taken down to the medevacs. Does he not have the boost, or did he just not slam the button? Oh no, ByuN ends up losing a lot more than he bargained for. How many ghosts went down? 9 ghosts in that fight, and that a bit of a consolation prize near the end there. As Rogue, if he wasn't able to take down some of those medevacs and some of those ghosts, there's nothing really stopping ByuN from doing it again. But here we go. And look at those sensor towers. Sure, there might be a Nidus nearby, but my sensor towers and orbital commands will make it so ByuN has map hacks with extra APM steps. Currently 5 orbital commands. And more on the way. 3 more command centers. He's about to have more command centers than on his half the map, or at least bases on his half. Wow, just guns down those Zerglings. They have +3 carapace, but they're still Zergling. Nuclear missile in production. The ghost leading the charge. Wait a second. Finds the changeling. Lurker count exploding, but snipes coming through over the top. Watchtower makes it very difficult to engage this army, especially as such a beefy Zerg here. With lurkers, roaches, and hydras all jostling each other for position, things can get real hot and real heavy, and not in a fun way, more in a getting shot with high-velocity artillery way, which, well, I'm not here to judge. Nidus at the back. Ghost might not be able to deal with it, but the siege tank gonna help out, and it looks like, yeah. And Rogue was staring at it. He really wants to get something done here soon. Rogue is using a Tactinitis. This is 100%. It's right now. He's doing this so ByuN freaks out for just a split second. Entirely a mind game here. But there's the scream. Throws it out there. ByuN looking around. He's not going to defend this base. But maybe bringing units down to intercept Rogue retreat. He doesn't have Hydra speed. Oh my god. He's got it on the way now. Another Nidus. Scans. Ooh, Overseer's lined up, knocked down. Another set of lurkers over to the left flank. And what? That's a planetary, but the lurkers run right by it, filing through. Actually making it a little easier to deal with the tanks then, as they're naturally spreading out. Meanwhile, the Hydras are moving in. Still no Hydra speed. The lurkers eviscerating the tanks, but the planetary pins them up against the wall. What is going on there? A bit optimistic. Rogue is able to evade the scans and actually burrow kill another siege tank, keeping him busy, but the Hydras... Oh my, we missed a firing squad over there. You can see the results. The Watchtower, though, making things real difficult. He's able to get 3 or 4 more of the tanks. Liberators coming up. The Ghosts over to the right flank. ByuN with the double siege opportunities here. Snipes on more Overseers. He's lost 8 of them so far. The cost adds up, but here come the lurkers. And the Ghost, no medevacs to evac here. The Concave is good, and Rogue collapses onto the siege tanks, takes out some of the Ghosts, and will now be back on ByuN's half the map. He's got money in the bank. 450 APM. A pretty stately pace here from Rogue. ByuN at a leisurely 330 so far. The Ghost count, 15 of them, despite the losses. And even just auto-attacking against Hydras and Lings, still doing quite well. The Evo Chambers never really got used as battery packs, and now they're actually going to funnel some of Rogue's units. The Lurkers! Wow, pockmarking the field. How many Lurkers on there? 17 Lurkers. Knight is taken out in the main base. ByuN with the presence of mind, and Rogue keeping him busy. Oh, wow. The Knight is taken out. Lurkers moving in. The gold base under fire. Are there enough Ghosts to actually deal with this? He's lost a few more. The Ghosts are chipping away, but he has to work through. The tanks will siege up at point blank. More Overseers going to go down, but he's able to outflank the Hydras. Or the Liberators with the Hydras. More Lurkers. Still just chewing through the planetary on both sides. Gets the one at the natural. Another Lurker slowing down the base. Scans across the board. He needs them. 7 orbitals. The Ghosts are slowly but surely firing over the top. Volleys of snipes working their way through, but Lurkers finding an opportunity to slice a whole chunk of bio. And ByuN's supply is being cut down. He's down to 160. Rogue 180. But he doesn't actually have the money to remax. 11 Lurkers still on the field. Working his way up. The Changeling's always leading the charge. The Ghost's in an awkward position here, trying to get some snipes, but getting way too close to the Lurkers. He's cutting off the reinforcements, overrunning the siege tanks, and the Zerglings are headed in towards the main. There's nothing left to protect the production. Where's the rest of the army from ByuN? He's got a few siege tanks in the center of the map. He has to bring them back to defend, or rely only on reinforcements. And it's getting very dicey here. Rogue has taken the rest of the map. In fact, he's mining from the rich Vespine base, though he hasn't taken the gas there yet. Another 10 Lurkers in production as Rogue just slices his way through. The siege tanks. Is there not a scan? He has 8 orbitals. I refuse to believe there is not a scan. Another Lurker finds its way through the field of orbitals. Isn't there a nuke somewhere? Indeed there is, but the Lurkers just dunked down right in front. The Bio Army trying to come through. But there is not an angle for it. And Rogue, he's slicing away pieces here. And we're passing the point of no return. If ByuN, he might be able to protect his production, but he's not going to have any economy left. Rogue is at 99 drones. He's got 99 problems, but his economy ain't one. Those Lurkers just pushing through. The counter siege here, the snipes are good. But the Lurkers, well, actually, well, wait a second. The army supply is even now. Looks like a Lurker was cleaned up. ByuN still has 9 orbital commands and is very happy to demonstrate it. Rogue with 99 drones, though. He has 4,100 minerals a minute. And he has 1,600 gas per minute as well, which means he's able to refill. He's back at 200. ByuN, it's going to take time to bounce back. All his units, he's lost 34 Ghosts, 28 siege tanks, but he's killed 55 Lurkers in the process. Is that enough? I don't think so. Rogue just locking down the map, annexing bases. And now ByuN must hold. And he must do it cost-effectively, or he's just going to bleed out even more. The drop will put Rogue back at double-digit drones. Medevac gets away. One stray Hydra spine away from death. ByuN's Porcupine army here, still very difficult to engage. Some idle SCVs. But Hydra's, Lings, and Banes are back on the menu. The majority of ByuN's army was headed south. I think, to try to clear up that base, but Rogue comes in with another wave, and that might just be too much. The ghosts are getting snipes. The first wave of this attack is blunted heavily. The snipe's able to cut down some of the lurkers, but he's forced away. The base is gone. It's just gone. The Zerglings took it out. There's nothing left over there. Rogue is mining from his entire half of the map and then some. About the highest economy I've ever seen. He's mining from 1 to like 5, 6 bases right now. He's managed to just grab everything. And strong arm ByuN out of the way with the lurkers. And now he's building so many banelings. 45 banelings. This is a finishing move right here. Dropping down 28 feet through the announcer's table. Metaphorically. 50 banelings on the field, 50 zerglings. There's actually not that much else. A handful of lurkers. But the banelings will absorb the fire, make it almost impossible to get snipes off as the lurkers close in from both sides. ByuN pushed back towards the natural. The overseer's over the top. Cloak, not an option. A lot of the units in the medevacs right now. He cloaks anyways. Gonna give it a shot. And finds an opportunity for the ghost to turn it around. But it's just the ghost. GG. Rogue, with a dominant performance, takes game 1. 400 zerglings, 60 lurkers. He lost 5,000 more gas and 5,000 more minerals almost, but he mined 11,000 and 6,000 more. Just an economic chokehold. And ByuN, unable to get out of it. For those who don't know, Rogue is back. Alright, he completed his mandatory military service, and seems like he really didn't lose many steps at all. And he's quickly catching up. He's still playing this kind of older school style, which, you know, he kind of invented. But ByuN there, not able to keep up with this just infinite Zerg. ByuN has been really focused. And historically, ByuN has actually gotten the better of Rogue. But I don't think we could use that as a decisive. By the way, hopefully you guys are enjoying the stat screens. Thank you to Jimmy for putting it together. Assuming the numbers are right, which we're going to for now, but like and subscribe, and maybe we'll get a bonus or something. But going into game 2. Going into game 2! Sight Delta. Command center first for ByuN. Wow. Rogue drone scouted the other proxy locations. He sent overlords up to the north and along the just general middle area where some players will try to be clever. And a drone scout. Wow. Well, 1, he's played ByuN enough to know how these things go. And 2, that's some real due diligence right there. But ByuN is going the other direction, which is command center first into double racks with 2 gases. And that's probably the more interesting part here. It looks like he's going to go for a quick medevac timing. Color me shocked. Alright. Overlord gliding in. Gonna see the command center timing. Actually committing the Overlord across the map on this side of things. Hell no. It's a command center first here. So we'll see what he does with that information. That's the real question. Hanging out on the pervert pillar here. There's the factory. Rogue pulls off gas at exactly 100, for that Zergling speed. 0 in the bank. Maximum efficiency here. Not going to be going for the 2 base. I think that was a direct response to, if you remember the last game, Did end up being Roach Hydra for a while. He, despite the speed bumps, smoothly made his way into like Hydra, Ling Bane, and then Lurkers. It really, even though ByuN kept doing damage, I think the key part was Rogue is just waiting. He's just waiting for his opportunity. Because he sat on 50, 60 drones. But as soon as he saw a chance, as soon as he was able to win a fight, 100 drones, 7, 8 bases. Some real cinematic Zerg. And it looked almost unstoppable. Zerglings heading across. Oh, ByuN. It's going to be a bunch of Marines with some medevacs. And always a deadly threat, but rarely the finishing move lately. Factory and Starport doing the add-on tango here. Is it going to be a tech lab? I'm wondering if this follows up with siege tanks. Indeed it does. Feels like since the Widowmine was nerfed, Terrans have rediscovered the ancient siege tank technology, which, believe it or not, still a very good unit in many scenarios. Double medevac done. Gonna be slapping down another Rax on there. And the Zerglings immediately scout the medevac, so suspicions confirmed at this point, as I'm certain Rogue was expecting something along these lines. Just having it confirmed gives him a little bit more of a window to deal with it. He's at 50 drones on the dot. 8 queens ready. A whole bunch of Zerglings in production. Roach one's actually done. Oh, and the Marines. Sir, we have a formal letter from the HOA, the Hatchery Owners Association, asking you to kindly get the fuck off my lawn. Brenda! Okay, sorry. Get off my lawn. Creep! We'll talk about this later. Rogue. Strong arming the medevacs with the queens. They have many arms. Well, 2? Oh my. Oh, wow. Ooh, just slices in. Loses 1, but using the queens as essentially a meat shield to prevent damage to both the Zerglings, drones, and the hatcheries themselves is usually the most efficient way, because the queens are the only thing that doesn't cost larva. Hatcheries themselves technically take a drone, so if you follow the ancestry tree far enough back, technically larva as well. But here comes the big attack. Combat shield not quite done yet. Zerglings wrapping around the back, and without combat shield, these Marines are incredibly vulnerable. The queens helping to gun things down, transfuses holding the roaches together, and the Marines actually survive all of the Zerglings and will gun down a whole bunch of the queens and roaches. But without combat shield in that fight, ByuN, it went from what could have been a strong victory or a decent trade to just okay. He's ended up killing more, but when you think of, in the grand scheme of things, he doesn't have a third command center done. He doesn't have particularly many workers. He's only researching off of 1 engineering bay, and barracks 4 and 5 are coming online. Meanwhile, Rogue has his 4th base nearly completed. He's found the space for more drones after winning that fight. Obviously, he killed some siege tanks and plenty of Marines. So with all that put together, Rogue is putting himself in a pretty comfortable position moving forward. ByuN, always threatening with the medevacs. One bad fight can turn things sideways or maybe upside down for Rogue. Can never be too careful with the Marines. Medevacs pick up to the north. Get on out. Infestation pit, Hydraless Den. On the way now. Rogue actually rushing up towards... I guess it's not really rushing, but Going straight towards Hive. Doesn't have too much on the ground right now. This is a dangerous push. He's got plenty of units in production. ByuN will have a window here with +1/+1 done for his Marines when Rogue has no upgrades. It's not a large window, 10, 20 seconds. But even then, the army supply is going to be the relevant point. Is there splash damage? 3 Ravagers. That's a lot of Marines. Quantity is a quality all its own, and 1-1 is about to complete. Rogue is actually in a bit of an awkward position here. The tanks will be able to siege up, but ByuN has the numbers and he has the medevacs as well. The siege tanks from the high ground, almost impossible to deal with from that. He needs to get up there with the Roach Ravager. Easily glides out of the corrosive bile. Very importantly, Rogue finishing those 1-1 upgrades. Gonna make it a lot easier to deal with the Marines. But the siege tank count grows. The Marines come in again. Threatening the 4th base. There is no alternative here. The Ravagers coming up to the high ground. They will take out maybe 1 tank, but the Marines are gutting through the Roaches. He stutter steps forward through the corrosive biles, and ByuN is tearing up everything else. Oh no, Rogue bit off more than he could chew. There are a whole bunch of Roaches on the way, but the 4th base is under fire now. ByuN has 2-2 in production. Technically, the Hive is completed. If Rogue can somehow get Vipers out, he's still got the supply lead. And actually, once the Queens get involved, what a save on that tank. What a save! ByuN able to pull back in time, but he doesn't kill the 4th. He doesn't kill the 4th. And that by far is the most important part. While the trade went well for ByuN, without killing the 4th base, Rogue still has the economy. He actually pulled it together so quickly. Really, the Queens, as always, having to patch things up. Without them, it's unlikely he would have been able to drive that back with enough army to threaten. But here we are. 180 to 150 supply. Another group of Marines coming in. Gonna limit the options. Takes out the base before it can even get close. Marines pick up. There's no anti-air to deal with this. So Rogue is forced back. Viper on the way. Hydras. Leave. Lurker range in production. Lurker Den is in the main. No drops threatening this time around. Couple Liberators. Drops into the natural. This is mostly ByuN jockeying for position. He wants to drag Rogue out of the way so he can continue to press forward. And the creep spread is barely outside the hatcheries here. The Queens have been struggling. He's down to 5 of them. They've been dying in these fights and needing to inject every time else. The drop taken down. Get off my... Oh, hold position. Interesting choice there. Lurkers are burrowing, but he loses the hatchery. Not able to get the Lurkers in position in time. And the medevacs... Oh, juggles one out, and both of them will survive. A strong gust of wind would knock them into the water, but it's not going to be enough. And now ByuN is at the back. Oh, my. Those Lurkers. ByuN almost straying too far forward, but able to tiptoe out with the stims. Takes out the medevacs in the main, but ByuN has knocked Rogue back to 3 bases. He's got a 4th command center of his own on the way. Rogue yanks in a siege tank. It still gets some kills at point-blank range. ByuN maintaining momentum here. And he picks up the Marines into the medevacs. And he heads... Excuse me. To the main! Rogue is forced back, and this is the big weakness of the Roach Hydra composition. The inability to move... Oh, loses more in the main. Hydra's coming back. He doesn't have Hydra speed. In fact, he doesn't have Hydra range. No Lurkers over to the left flank. Marines coming from both sides. A few Roaches and Ravagers at the back of the 3rd are not going to be remotely enough to deal with this. He's on top of the Lurkers. The Lurkers are eviscerating the Marines, but there's just too many of them. ByuN is out Zerging Rogue, and this time he's gonna strike back. There is no coming back for this for Rogue. The Marines gun down the last queens. More lurkers. A Widow Mine, I think an accidental one. And GG. ByuN turns it around. And we'll tie the series up 1-1. A solid effort there. Rogue, I think, getting a little, reaching too far for the hive tech. A little too early. In game 1, he respected the Marines and the tanks. Because right up until you get that hive tech online, they are possibly the most cost-effective units in the game. And even afterwards, it just makes it there's a lot less opportunity to use them. But in kind of ceding map control to ByuN, well, Marines, Medivacs, and Micro. The 3 M's. And Marauders, occasionally. And sometimes Mines. And Magos, on occasion. There's a lot of different occasions. There's exceptions. Anyways, so exactly what ByuN wanted to do. And Rogue kind of played into his hand. And that means these two all tied up. As we go in to Oceanborn. Jimmy. Like and subscribe so I can find real help. ByuN in the bottom right of the blue. Rogue in the top left in the red. Is that Command Center first? Yep. Command Center first. Why won't you play normal ByuN? When was the last time ByuN did like a 1-Rax expand into a factory starport? It's happened. It's definitely a rarity, but it looks like, and now this is going to come as an absolute shock to those of you at home. Or wherever you're watching this. On your phone. You guys have phones. We've established this. He's gonna make Marines. Problem is when they work, and when they work well, they look so good. But when they don't quite get the job done, you do look quite foolish. Zerglings taking down the unbuildable rocks, just in case. Honestly, I think a lot of players take them down, which they exist here. I think we demonstrated why they exist a few series ago with the Cannon Rush. Go check that out if you haven't yet. Against Dark, but they're there so you can't build 2 bunkers or 3 pylons on the bottom of the ramp. So technically you can pull workers to defend and do some fancy mineral micro, but it's just the risk is minimal and the reward is potentially game-winning. Unlike this strategy that Rogue is trying, which is a straight-up Baneling bust. Well, if ByuN's gonna do these old-school styles, we'll see if he dies to the old-school cheese. ByuN did not make a Reaper. Did he even SCV scout? Like, over here playing single player. ByuN sometimes plays like it's a campaign mission. Now, my favorite way to play the campaign is also build a bunch of Marines and medics. But, because they actually work for me in campaign. But 6 Banes on the way. The wall is coming together. Not that that's going to be the relevant part. Stim and combat shield. It's pure Marine. It's just Marines. There is no factory. There is no starport. Is he actually going to go out? Oh, no. Really? Oh, my God. Well, these sacrifices that bust through. The wall is down. There's a few Banelings. He's actually going to pull the SCVs, but he's on top of the Marines. He just walks in, and he blows up all in his face. I don't even know if I can show this. The Banelings are busting through. The SCVs are fighting, but there's nothing left. There's no Marines. They're popping out of the racks. If he just had 4 or 5 more Marines, actually, this wouldn't be too horrible. He's not that many workers down. The command server, yeah, locks him in. But I'm not locked in here with you, says Rogue. The Marines are popping out. More banelings on the way, dropping mules. Like, everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong here. And even still, it's a little bit close for ByuN. But the Executioner is streaming in towards the main. The banelings are closing in towards the last SCVs, and no amount of Marine Micro will save you from this one. There's nothing left. That's it. A single. Oh, are you kidding me with this Marine? Okay, ByuN. The Zerglings get through. 6 SCVs. No, you tried to save that last SCV. No, I don't think so. I mean, he's dead. But what if? Mules are good. Yes, but they're not that good. Mules are worth about 5 workers mining for their duration. But Rogue, oh wow. Rogue just executes him. ByuN goes for the greediest straight up Marine build. And Rogue with the... That's the Rogue that we know and many people do not love. The Rogue who embarrasses your favorite player in a high profile match or anywhere in between. And again, Rogue comes in swinging and shows ByuN, well, you can't just keep getting away with it. Honestly, I think the Terrans need to learn that lesson once again. So, if you enjoyed Rogue's educational video here, be awesome if you could like and subscribe. And if you have the means of motivation, check out Patreon, YouTube, membership, I think we're still calling it, something like that. And if you haven't yet, the second channel as well for streams and VODs and even more content. You got some more hours in the day. I'm not here to judge. But thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Good luck. Have fun. Stay chill.